Alright, making a YouTube video. Yeah, rare YouTube video. Eek. Anyway, I guess I should mention first. Where is it? There it is. Yeah, Samari. Yeah. Alright, yeah, it's an update video, but I'll make it for this purpose alone. Look at that. Look at the whole girl thing she's doing there. Yeah. Anyway, she's reading Benatar's book, Better Never to Have Been. She's did the introduction. The introduction is probably the best part, actually. Some parts get a little bit woo. Anyway, it's a good book. I just mean it's, it's A equals C equals D equals W. Okay. I mean, if somebody says it enough times, just finally get it, but it's a little bit convoluted. The one who wasn't here, who was here, but if he was, but if he wasn't, if he was, then he would be. Certainly if he was, but he wasn't. Really. Anyway, you get me. Anyway, yeah, it's really nice to get, she reads, and, you go to sleep to it, it's really nice. Yeah, it deserves more views. She looks way too good, so she's got to get at least 1,000 views on this video. Just sort of looking at it. She looks all... Yeah, it does make you hungry. Anyway, to get to my business, okay, I did make some videos. So there's the what the fuck. So I did make this little economics one. Unfortunately, the sound quality is a little iffy, but it's good enough. And then I did a couple of videos to that snarky schlock of God guy. And then I did the speech videos pretty good. I pretended I did get invited to make a speech. And so I made my sort of, speech thing. Without writing one, of course. And then Pyrrho, he pissed me off, so I made a video. And then Professor Anton posted I think it was an old video, I'm not sure. But he posted on the U-doubled site, so I posted a response over there. And not the best video, whatever. And I did another one of the TED Talks. It's kind of boring. I'm gonna watch them ahead of time now, just because I did realize that some of them are just not good enough for a half-hour video. So I do have to try to cut it down a little. Anyway, I did fix this thing that has the the things where you can post messages, and people really just don't get it. But it was broken. So these are all links, like people are using it from here, from the website. But what you take is this link up here, and you move it up to your little bookmark thingy, or you bookmark it. So you make it a bookmark, you just slide up there and let it go, and then it's a bookmark. See, it's up there in my bookmarks. And then when you click on it, it'll open, there it goes, the thing, and you can type a message, and then you go post comment. You see, type a message, post comment, and it'll link this page to that comment and list it here. So somebody had posted the Mr. Spock quotes video in here, and they posted the link because you couldn't do it from the page, but now you can go to the YouTube page. I'll open a window, and you can, I'll do it from Samari's page. That would be even better. I mean, the Spock quotes a pretty good video.
If we start buzzing about there,
it's not as good as Samari video, though. So, see, what I can do is I can capture the title ahead of time, and that could be my text. And then I go over and I hit the little button, and then it'll pop it in here, put the text in here for me. And then all I gotta do, the link should be this picture of her, and it is. You can change the picture sometimes, but this looks okay. And it'll have the same redundant title as the link, so I could just write something like hot here. Yes, I could do that. I could type yes and such. No one will know it's me. Yeah, there we go. Hot. Yes and such. Alright, that's okay. Yeah, I really don't do small talk very well. But anyway, there we go. And then you just hit post comment, and it will be posted into this index thing. And then every time somebody opens the index thing, see, there's the link to the video, and hot yes and such. And so eventually this will be on the other site, the Blogger Dome. I'll fix it. Still this thing still doesn't work right, entirely. But you can do, like, you can select text and then do a Google search on the selected text. So, like, you could hit text in the video somewhere, hit the icon, it'll put the text up there, hit the bookmark, and then you should be able to do a YouTube search, let's say, on testing linking. Well, that's not a very good search subject, but let's see, it should pop up. Test linking is a YouTube search, and then you get the videos that are test linking. Okay, see, so it works. So anyway, so I'll throw that into the update video. And then, I haven't got any Vlogger Dome. Like I said, I'll fix this color a little bit and do some stuff. I haven't fixed the timer thing, and there's lots. I got so much to do. It's just outrageous how much real work I should be doing. But anyway, this thing does work, so I just thought I'd point it out. So you go to the Do Not God channel, donotgod.com. You can close it. You can move it. There's arrows to move it if you have to, but it doesn't work all that great. But anyway, and you just take that link right off the home page and slide that into your bookmarks, or right click it and click bookmark this link, and then you find it and use it. And Internet Explorer will probably, if you use that, it'll say something like, you don't want to do this, but go ahead and do it. There's no bombs in it. So, if I refresh this page, you'll see that the new link will pop right up there on the top. There she is, right there. Bitter, do not have to have been, and there's my hot yes and such. There it all is. It's right there. So what else do I gotta say? Yeah, so it's working, and the Vlogger Dome site is looking good-ish, maybe. Like I said, we got a link to that here. Yeah, there's a page of it here, but I guess the front page thing I did fix. So it does do. I guess I shouldn't get into all these details, but it does do video responses now. So you just got to get the embed code off of a video. Again, it could go to just a link like Samari's video, and you just go to wherever the share button is there, and then you find the. And these are always iframed codes usually. So you go to get embed, and there's iframe. It says iframe. So get the iframe code. So you just take that, post it in the comments section of a video, and it'll automatically make that a response video to the video. So you can play around with that. I gotta fix it so it doesn't show up in other places and whatever. But it works. It's functional. It's good enough. That's what I say. It's good enough. And everything else, these are all the sites that are doing the index collecting. So I have to run a lot of these. So I will be using some of you who are have your computers on once in a while to do some of this indexing stuff, because I got like 7 or 8 of these things running now, and it does screw up the computer a bit. That's what's generating these. It's just these pages that are checking other pages for new videos. Pyrrho made a video to me. To Inmendham. Annoying. Let's do some of it. What the hell? That'll be your bonus, I guess. YouTube bonus. See how long the camera lasts. I don't know how much memory left. I don't know how much batteries. No idea.
Gary.
Pyrrho.
To the video I'm replying to. Vlogger Dome.
You could post a link to it in the description there. You could.
The thing is, I'm not going to QM to try to find the indeterminacy. That's part of my video. We have indeterminacy all around us.
No, we don't.
Okay, the world, the macroscopic human level.
Well, look, there's no point using indeterminacy when you're talking about whether something's explicitly undeterminable because of its very nature. It cannot be discovered. The truth of its mechanics will never be revealed. It will always do something that's inherently mysteriously or inherently random or inherently spontaneous, like words that don't really exist in real physics, and something that we just haven't figured out yet. We haven't figured out how to map it yet. We haven't discerned all the variables yet. We've discerned a lot of variables when it comes to things like hurricanes and tornadoes. Yeah, we're not too good at earthquakes yet, but the fact is we're discerning the variables, we're revealing the variables, and then we can model the thing, and then we can make pretty solid predictions about some general statements. So again, you just keep fucking the language and playing these fucking games, and I'm fucking sick of it. And you did bring up quantum mechanics, you did bring up the goddamn two-slit experiment, so there's no fucking point in having this stupid idiotic introduction where you say, I wasn't referencing quantum mechanics. Yes, you were, fucktard.
World looks like it has a lot of unpredictable things in it. We, in natural...
I don't know why the camera went out, but it did. So we're going to try again. I don't care. I'm saying it happened for no good reason. That's what I'm saying. Anyway, let's continue with some of this crap.
Down to a kind of physics that it can't be classically understood. Right? And so to me, yeah, I don't see any reason to say we have certainty at this level and then lose it, and that doesn't make sense. There is no certainty, and we don't need it, because what we have...
Well, this is just an idiotic, again, you're just not paying any attention to what the subject is, alright? There's this distinction between whether or not things can be understood and whether they can't be. That's the only fucking subject that's relevant here. There's people who are claiming it can't be understood, that there's such a thing as spontaneous and such a thing as random, and that probability somehow exists in the real universe, and it isn't just a manifestation of ignorance of variables. That's the fucking point here. You're just ignoring the goddamn real context of the real conversation and just fucking going in, and you might as well just be talking Chinese. You're just fucking the conversation. You don't understand how to have a fucking conversation.
That replaces certainty is statistical sampling. If you have a statistical sample, enough events, then there'll start to be a pattern in the statistical sample.
And all that is a pattern of your misunderstanding of the circumstance. So that's all that is. The pattern gets stronger as you eliminate variables. As you define the variables, the patterns get narrower and narrower and narrower. Duh. Because there is no real probability. There is only errors made in our predictions, in our modeling of the variables. Period. There's no such thing as probability. It's a manifestation of ignorance.
That passes for certainty, but it's not classical certainty, because classical certainty works on logical categories, which don't have fuzzy boundaries. Statistical samples, the categories that come from them, require a concept of clustering, because there's a fuzzy boundary.
Whatever.
For any individual,
no. Sorry. This is just all crap. This is all just bullshit. Again, the argument is whether we can understand systems or not understand systems, and whether there's something intrinsic in the system that makes it ununderstandable, or whether it's just the fact that we don't have a strong enough telescope or a strong enough microscope to see through the fog, okay, of distance. Period. Nothing more complicated than that. You're the one strangling this into something else, but your category crap and your cloud this and your bullshit that. This is just bullshit words invented by bullshit human beings, just like the word spontaneous, just like the fucking word random, and just like the fucking dumb word probability. These are fucking words made up by fucking human beings who have had no fucking apparent wish or desire to understand reality.
In or out of a particular set. It's just that overall, where they do fall, you start to see tendencies that you can use as thresholds to make statistically justified sets.
And again, what are those statistics representing? They're representing our error rate. That's all they're representing. They're representing what we don't know. Okay, that's why they exist. If we know, then there's no statistical. Then the statistics become quite irrelevant when we have explicit information.
Right. So let's say you have a substance that, when it's excited, it emits 80% blue photons and 20% red, and it's emitted a photon, a millisecond ago, and you don't know what that photon is. Is it 80% likely that it's a blue photon? No.
Yeah, well, the likelihood crap is just that bullshit, okay? That's more taking something and trying to make it do something it can't do, okay? The likelihood is always the same for every single permutation. We already know that, but the fact of the matter is that because the end result is going to be a certain way, inevitably in the end, with enough permutations, the pattern will be resolved. Okay, but at the mechanism itself is not functioning, trying to make the pattern. Duh.
Well, that photon already exists. It already is whatever wavelength it's going to be. Okay? The statistics doesn't say about that individual photon. What it says is that the statistical group the photon is in, of all the photons that are emitted from this thing, has certain patterns. And that's good enough to do all the reasoning we do with certainty. But you don't need certainty, because it's just a statistical thing. And
Well, who cares? Again, this has nothing to do with the fundamental underlying subject of determinism, whenever the word determinism is going to be used, which is in conflict to, as an alternative theory of reality to the theory that people do hold of spirits and gods and mumbo-jumbo mechanisms that somehow there's some capacity to break some sort of rules of atomic structure, that they can magically create things in their brain. They can magically have the idea to do something, or they magically can be a brilliant piano player, or magically can be something. You know, that something comes from nothing, that somehow we have a free will that isn't confined by the matter's organization. The pre-existing circumstance, the cause and effect. That's it. Yeah, yes, there's determinism and cause and effect, and then there's this other crap theory.
You keep in mind that doesn't mean you know what's going on in an individual case in a certain way. Yeah, you always say that I'm saying there's no physical process. No, there is a physical process. Just like there's gravity or electromagnetism, and no reason it had to be that way that I know of. Okay?
Well, I don't know what that means again. There's no reason it had to be that way that you know of, except the fact that that's the material circumstance. That's the properties of the things, right? Something doesn't get to choose its properties. Its properties are a reflection of what it is. That's the way it turned out. It can't have other properties because it has those properties. Duh.
There could be a field that has to do with resolving from coherence into decoherence, and I don't see...
yeah, make up words again. Coherence into decoherence. You know, things have to be coherent to something, okay? It's like feelings are coherent to thoughts, which then creates emotions. Coherence means there's a connection to something. You can't just use this word like, this is coherent, without describing exactly what it's coherent to.
Why it couldn't do something stochastic, because you have stochastic functions even in mathematics. There's unpredictable, untrackable functions even in mathematics.
Well, name me these, all right? Name me this mathematics that isn't convoluted probability math or based on something like pi, which will have to... Pi cannot be resolved unless you're willing to resolve it all the way down to the quantum level, okay? You're never going to resolve for pi unless you're willing to go all the way down to the quantum level. And no one's going to be willing to do that because, guess what? It's going to take more than one lifetime to do that. Mom?
You know, if the next thing that's going to happen is related to the next digit in a rendering of pi, then that means that's the same thing as random, even though it's a deterministic process. That's the point of...
It's not the same thing as random. You can't say it's the same thing as random. Okay, an artificial random number generator is just that. It's artificial. It fools our senses, just like the frame rate on these videos fools my senses, okay? All you need is 12 or 14 or 15 frames a second and my senses are fooled. Alright, that doesn't mean that it's a continuous moving image. No, it's still frozen frames flashed before my eyes at a rate. You don't break the rules because they fool our senses, Pyrrho.
I mean, infinite number of detail in some mathematical constructs, like fractals. Or we have discussed the infinite digits in uniqueness and non-repeatability in the digits of pi. Okay? That's a mathematical construct with a determined way to generate those digits, and yet the series of them...
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter. Like I said, it's an explicit number, but it's an explicit number that has to account for every single circle in the universe. Okay? So that's why it's a preposterously detailed numbers, because it has to be incredibly explicit to describe every single circle in the fucking universe.
It's stochastic. Unpredictable. You just have to do it to find out what it is. There is no way to predict that we know of. And there's been a lot of mathematical work showing there won't be a way. You know? The point with the two-slit experiment is, I did use the word the roll of the dice, but let's just say there is no roll of the dice is what I was trying to get at. Hypothetically.
Yeah, we were trying to get at it and by saying something exactly the opposite. So, yeah, that is not a very good plan. When you're trying to get at something, you're probably, like you said in your other video, you ought to have a bearing. Well, your bearing ought to be in the right fucking direction. If your bearing is in the opposite fucking direction than where you're intending to fucking go, well, then I guess you ought to change your fucking bearing.
And when the particle gets to the screen, this coherent particle, and it's going to quote-unquote collapse or decohere and seem to behave like a particle, perhaps that we can totally predict where it'll decohere to. That does not change the fact that between the slits and the screen, something's interfering with itself. Something is... No. These are your conclusions, okay? These are conclusions you've drawn. Someone's pulled a bird out of their shirt, okay? And you said that somehow, well, the bird must live in there or something, or you're not figuring it out. All right? It's poofing out of the guy's fingers, and you don't realize he's got 75 birds in his jacket or something. You're being fooled by the experiment, okay? It doesn't necessarily any of this crap. These are conclusions. People look at it, and these are the idiotic conclusions they're drawing. These conclusions are not the fucking truth. Okay, they're just fucking idiotic theories they come up with. Well, the only way to explain it is it must have gone through both slits and then waved at itself and then shook hands and then they said goodbye and then they went their separate ways or some other kind of bullshit. But it's just made up bullshit. I've stated it. To change the model a little tiny bit of what quanta is, and yes, you can explain the two-slit results. It's gone through both slits. Because we see the interference. You can see that from the ripples. Now
I'm sorry.
Refraction. Well, one...
I'm sorry. Again, your ripples are bullshit, okay? That's not what you see. What you see is a bar pattern. You don't see any motherfucking ripples, okay? You see a pattern of strengths that mean that something's forcing things to go in directions, okay? That there's spaces where they go a lot and there's spaces where they go a little. That's all you have. That doesn't necessarily mean an interference pattern. That means a consolidation pattern. That's what the fucking bars indicate, okay? And that can happen in a lot of circumstances. In my opinion, it happens because there is a structure to the fucking quanta, alright, that necessitates a herky-jerky, okay? When it's at 7, it's forced to 10, okay? When it's at 6, it's forced to 5. Yeah, it's like it gets rounded off. It doesn't have anything in between. It has 10 states of being. And so it's only going to hit those 10 states on any kind of deflection or refraction. And that's the circumstance that's creating your bar pattern. It's a manifest, that's why it has a focus, Pyrrho. It wouldn't have a damn focus, alright, if it was a wave. Waves don't have focuses.
You would mean diffraction. Refraction is what happens when light goes through glass or crystal, for example, or prism. But the math has been done, Gary, and it's not particularly hard math, and I had to do a lot of problems in my schooling even with this kind of mathematics, and there is no way for scatter, basically, to cause the pattern we see.
Prove it. Prove it, prove it, prove it, prove it, prove it, prove it. Show me the equation that demonstrates that. Show me the experimental result that proves that that's not possible. Fuck you. You keep saying things that you have no evidence of. You're just pulling that right out of your fucking ass and saying, well, I've done it, so you have to just trust me. Like I have to trust some asshole who says he talks to God? Fuck you. Prove it or shut the fuck up.
Okay. Because scatter doesn't do the cancellation. The dark spots. You know, there's dark and light.
Yeah, we've been over this. I didn't say scatter. Okay, I said explicitly that reflection and diffraction, okay, where something is diffracted around something. If you put a goddamn pencil in front of a goddamn, one of those little laser beamy things, you can see the light go right the fuck around the goddamn fucking pencil, Pyrrho. All right, and what I'm saying is, it's only going to do those deflections at certain energies. Period. Okay, and it depends on what kind of light it is and what kind of position it's in, because light does have a position, does have a fucking shape, and we went over that fucking subject too. And that's going to determine how much it's going to deflect. Period. End of the story, okay? It doesn't just scatter. Fuck you.
Lines in this in this pattern, in this interference pattern? Scatter.
No. In this fucking two slits, okay, the slits are like, a hair wide. Why are they so narrow? Why are these slits so narrow, Pyrrho? Oh, that's right, to increase the likelihood of interference with the walls of the slit. Why are the outside walls on the slits, Pyrrho? I've asked that question. Oh, well, that's right, they're necessary. Okay, if the fucking photon was going through both slits at once, it should be able to go through both slits at once if you eliminate the outside walls to the slit, and you just had the fucking impediment in the middle. Alright, then you should have the same friggin' phenomenon. How come the phenomenon changes when the outside walls are on your slit? Will you please explain that to me? Why does your phenomenon change when the outside walls are on the slits? It shouldn't have any effect whatsoever. Why does it have an effect?
It has no way to create the dark lines. It has no way to stop other particles in this regular way. And things that are dominated by scatter don't show those kinds.
Yeah, well, again, this is a straw man, okay? I never even said the word scatter. I've never even used the word scatter. I've probably said this fucking word 3 times in my whole fucking life, and I certainly never have said it to you in a conversation. I've never said the word scatter. So why don't you just make up bullshit and say that's my argument? That's not my fucking argument. My argument to you is why are the outside walls on those fucking slits? What is their purpose in the fucking experiment, Pyrrho? Explain to me what their function is in the experiment, Pyrrho. Explain to me how they change the photon's decision to split in half, go through both slits, interfere with itself, create a wave pattern, and then crash in one spot on the goddamn target. Why don't you explain to me how those outside walls have a motherfucking thing to do with that?
It's irregular patterns, internal patterns. Right? It's more like how drops of spray paint come out of a spray can. There'll be an overall limit, but basically it's just a hazy thing. We see this kind of internal structure. And it's more than a coincidence that doing the wave mathematics on the width of the slits and the separation between the slits, that it turns out to match a wave pattern. Now,
It's no coincidence.
It's not misspeaking.
I'm sorry, there is a ton of coincidence. Again, wave patterns are created by friction. Okay, so if you do this 2-slit experiment with an actual wave, yes, okay, friction is what creates your 2 new waves. Alright, now you want to argue that 2 new particles are created coming out of the slits, and that somehow there's friction on those particles? I'm sorry, none of that shit is going to make any sense whatso-fucking-ever.
And you know this, but I will explain, again.
Fuck you.
These things are not waves or particles. But I sometimes say, since it's a wave, and since it's a particle. And that's shorthand for behaving.
Yeah, there's no fucking point in talking about something, calling it a wave when you're saying it's not a wave. A wave is an explicit thing. Okay, a wave goes through mediums. In every other circumstance, that's what a wave does. It goes through a medium. Okay, these particles are not going through a medium. They're not. They're contained in a whatever, a narrow focus. So how, again, this just doesn't have anything to do with reality, and certainly a wave is not going to end up with all of its energy in one place when it hits an end. No wave anywhere does that. All the energy goes to one single place. I mean, I can't send out radio waves, right, and have them all just crash into one antenna. That's not going to fucking happen.
Like showing the mathematical properties of a wave or of a particle. In reality, both of those are metaphors, and we know it has to be some combination, and not even a hybrid or a combination, but really a new way of looking at substance.
No, it has nothing to do with any of this stuff. They only came up with wave because of the fact that they created this definition of probability, because of the fact that we can't know. So they had to take the single little tiny thing and turn it into a whole cloud of probability. And it was that cloud of probability that creates the wave function, okay? Because it's highly probable it's here, it's less probable that it's here, it's less probable it's over here. Alright, and that's where the wave function came from. And then they got this stupid bar pattern on the target, and then they just sit there, well, we'll just add up these 2 things and just conclude that it's a wave. No, it's not a wave. It's just a manifestation. It just has minor similarities. I mean, you might look like a frickin' statue. Does that mean you're made of marble? No.
that somehow has a special case that looks like a wave and a special case that looks like a particle.
Sorry, that's one of the things I'm running. Sometimes people's autoplay.
I would fight Einstein if you arrange that, just for fun. Now, I have been looking for papers, because you're like, you want primary papers, but the two-slit has been done so many times. Usually, if you Google for it, you just find
I'm sorry. I'm not going to argue with this crap, all right? We've been over this and been over this. It's just disingenuous and dishonest. I know the two-slit experiments has been done zillions of times. Guess what? It hasn't been done the way I explicitly stated it needs to be done, which is you don't sit there and change. You don't sit there and shoot a gun at two slits and then make one slit and shoot the gun at the middle of the one slit. No, you cover one of the slits. That means you're still shooting the gun at the middle and it's going into the slit, right? That's how it works, right? Fuckwit? Alright, so if you keep changing the position of the gun or you change the position of the slits, well then you've broken the fucking experiment. So what I want to see them do is do the experiment with the slits staying exactly where they are, just covering one of them, alright, and the gun staying exactly where it is, alright, then play your game. And you're not gonna win the game.
People talking about what happened. So I've been looking, I've found some things, and maybe I'll come up with something. I wouldn't expect it to be immediate. It's not my top priority in life. But I would like to show you and even read again some of the two-slit experiments that have been done. People who put organic molecules, all kinds of things. They have covered one, in the sense that people have done one-slit experiments. There's a lot of reasons to do those that have nothing to do with quantum mechanics. They're already familiar with what it looks like when a wave or a particle goes through one slit.
Yeah, well, again, see, you're just being deceptive again. One slit. So here you have two slits. I'm looking through the two slits. Now, what happens when they do one slit? Oh, that's right. They move the target, don't they? Yeah, they moved the fucking target, didn't they? Yeah, they moved it, didn't they? Yeah, they moved it, didn't they?
Okay, so they have done that, and they have looked at the math of maybe this is just things bouncing around and it works out to look like there's a pattern of combination. No. The only explanation...
No, you keep saying this is the truth and you don't have any evidence, okay? Yeah, so I'm going to keep saying fuck you until you prove it.
Mathematically that works, and it works perfectly, is treating the particles like these probability waves. And it is not saying that...
And again, probability is just a canard. Probability is just a placeholder, okay, for the fact that there's an unknown variable. Period. When you know the variables, there's no probability, there's inevitability. That's the fucking truth. That's how the universe works, and that's how we found it to work in every other big circumstance. And you're just saying the little circumstance, somehow the rules are different. No, they're the same fucking rules. It's just hard to see down there.
That happens by magic. Quantum mechanics is quantum physics. Okay, it's a kind of physics. Now, you might say it's not really physics.
That's a lie. That's just a big, fat, fucking lie. It's explicitly and only mathematics. That's all the fuck it is. It is not fucking physics, Pyrrho. So that's just a pile of shit. It's error math. That's all the fuck it is. It's a goddamn mathematics where you don't resolve a goddamn equation and then put the unresolved equation into another equation. That's all it fucking is.
Physics, but many of the rest of us are saying it's physics, so if I say the explanation isn't quantum mechanics, it's not that it's not physics.
I'm sorry, it has no truth statements, it has no definitions of reality that it's based on. It's merely based on the fact that once you establish a probability and a cloud of probability, then you can move that cloud through equations, do math on it, and retain an error rate that's consistent with, that will allow refinement. Alright, because you're not stuck with an unresolved variable, you have a variable that's manipulatable. And as long as you don't get yourself caught in trying to make the equation come up with a number that's too specific for the size of the numbers you're putting into it, you're not going to have a problem.
Okay. Now, your examples of determinability are unsatisfactory. Because see, you're putting constraints on the system. You know, when you say, look, if I have this and I drop it, it drops. That's just a constraint. How many details have you left out that are not determinable?
I haven't left any details out that aren't determinable by that don't have that we wouldn't be capable of determining. There's nothing undeterminable about the actual circumstance. There's nothing undetermined about my existence, my place in the existence, everything. All this stuff has happened because of a cause and effect universe. Alright? And all there is ignorance about exactly why it's here. But the point I was making is that there are many actions and reactions that take place on a scale that can't be affected by any of your quantum mumbo jumbo. Okay? That it's going to keep happening forever and ever and ever, that this gravity thing is going to work consistently. Alright? It's not going to be affected by any quantums ganging up some improbable number of improbabilities all piling up on each other and make this fly to the moon. That's not going to fucking happen.
How could you call that I think if you're talking about determinability, it's not that I can say something, I can put constraints. Therefore, things are determinable. No, there's constraints. You know, I need oxygen is a physical constraint. But determinability has to do with the other direction.
No. Determinability has to do with understanding exactly what those confinements are, that there's cause and effect. And your circumstance of cause and effect is now that you have a physical dependency on oxygen. And if I deprive you of oxygen, there's a 100% chance you're going to fucking goddamn die. You're not going to break the rules. You're going to fucking die.
Like having an infinite number of constraints so that only one thing is possible. And that's what can't happen. So you can
that's what's happening everywhere, and the only thing that exists is your ignorance of circumstances. But everything, there's only one thing that's possible. Every circumstance. There's only one possible video I could have made. There's only one possible tomorrow that's going to exist. There's only one possible 1 million years from right now. 1 million years from right now, there's going to be stuff right the hell here occupying this space, and this space is going to, and that is inevitable. It's going to fill this fucking chair, okay, with that material or that non-material. But that's just going to be a fact. Alright? It's nothing you can do about it. It's cause and effect fucking universe, shithead. And you can't change it.
Get closer and closer and get good enough for reason. Yeah, like you said, even if it's small, we don't have to, no, you do have to take it into account, but the effect will be small. So once you take it,
the effect will be non-existent, and especially on the quantum level, it's not going to make checkers move across the board. Okay, on the computer level, it's not going to make pieces of silicon do something. It's not going to change the digital material. It's becoming more and more consistent over time, and we see that every error that's ever created in almost anything is because some fucking human fucked it up.
In account, you'll find the effect is small. It's not huge, like, I don't know if I'm alive or if the sun is shining because of my doubt. No, it's not like that.
Well, whatever, it doesn't matter. You're arguing for some sort of effect with no cause. That's the implications of your nonsense. And all there is ignorance. We just have ignorance. If we don't know the effect, or we can't say the effect is inevitable, then the only thing that's missing is our knowledge of the causes. Because it will be inevitable.
Okay, but it does have an effect on our reason. You know, just thinking that things are in principle this way. No, you can approximate reality with a model like that, but isn't it clear that we've gotten to the edge where that approximation fails? Because that approximation...
No, we've got exactly to the other edge, where we've created computers that you can't beat them at a game of chess. You can't beat them at Jeopardy now. All right? Yeah, that's right, because we have learned what the game is, okay? And we can model the game better than we can play the game.
Information can't explain chemical reactions. You understand? That's why it was so compelling to go with quantum mechanics.
Well, you say they can't explain. That's right. It didn't articulate because it doesn't understand all the components. It doesn't understand the exact circumstance of the quanta. But are you going to tell me that once we understand the quanta, if somebody draws up a diagram for you of a diamond-shaped thing that there's 17 components to it that they connect in these certain ways, and that creates the strong force, and then when they connect with each other, they create a weak force by this mechanism, and you're telling me that this can't be all fucking put together? Bullshit. Alright, the only thing that exists is a little bit of goddamn ignorance, and that's all that exists. But there is no fucking anything else existing here. We just don't understand the mechanics enough to sit there and give you this detailed, perfectly coherent model. And you're also modeling things that are in the zillions of bazillions. So you can't. It's a little tricky to do that anyway. But you can't even establish their starting location with any specific certainty. You can only generalize their circumstances. But in most cases, that's going to be good enough. You only need to generalize the checkerboard to play a good game of chess. Or checkers.
And while we don't understand it, because nothing else explained chemical reactions. And they're
whatever. And quantum mechanics doesn't explain it. It just allows you to do math on it because it takes the errors the variables that you can't be explicit about, and it puts them into a bag so you can move the bag around in the math. But that's all it fucking does. It doesn't demonstrate it doesn't apply any theory.
I'm going to say is about the mechanistic universe. Okay, a mechanistic universe is an idea, it's a metaphor, using an idea of the world made of mechanics, of like little gears, okay? But the problem is we've looked down at the universe and these little gears, it's not like little gears, it's more like...
Says you. There's no evidence that it's not like little bits of little stuff flying around, and that's exactly what it's doing, and it's doing it in a very consistent and predictable manner. Again, this screen is made because we can predict how the light's going to react, how the photons are going to be created, how they're generated, what provokes them, what stimulates them to fly out of a piece of matter. We know all that stuff. It's quite predictable. So don't tell me it's not a mechanical universe. It's motherfucking mechanics.
An ocean of energy sloshing together. And what's the big difference? Well, two gears can't pass through each other. But energy, it's not anti-intuitive. Light can be traveling here, hit my eyes, another light is traveling through undisturbed. That's how energy works.
Yeah, well, how does that have anything to do with it not being a mechanical thing? Okay, it doesn't have anything. You're just saying that the receptor changes. Sometimes the catcher catches the ball, sometimes the catcher misses the ball, and it goes past him. Yeah, so what? Well, how does that mean something? I could shoot a bullet at a target. Yeah, and sometimes if the target's far enough away, sometimes I won't hit the target, and the bullet will miss the target. Yeah, it's cause and effect, though. It didn't miss the target for no reason. It missed the target because the trajectory was wrong.
So we have energy that sometimes these things interact and sometimes they don't. So you could call it little gears if you want to pretend that gears are something that's... when one gear turns, if it's grooved with another gear, that other gear turns, right? But if our atoms and things are like little gears, little mechanisms, then you need to model your gears as things that sometimes they turn and there's only a chance it's going to turn the other wheel.
Yeah, it's only a chance. Yeah, again, again, so you're stating that there's something inside the atom, an atom now. You've gotten as big as a fucking atom, and you're saying there's something inside of it isn't doing consistently and reliably. Dependably over zillions of years, it'll do exactly this mechanical function. It'll create a photon every fucking time when you do certain things to it. You push it in just the right way, it's going to do it every fucking goddamn time, Pyrrho. There's not going to be any iffy-diffy. And the only time it gets iffy is when you're applying when you're extrapolating from a circumstance we don't understand fully yet. And that's it. It's just a circumstance we haven't been able to identify yet because we haven't got the pieces. We haven't got the diagram of the motherfucker yet. And that's all it is. It's it's our ignorance that that prevents us from giving you a perfect little model of the gears. But every bit of evidence indicates it's gear work.
Because the teeth can travel right through each other sometimes. So I think it's better just to give up on the mechanical model. Let's
yeah. So now you just applied a circumstance that's taking place on the subatomic level. You've implied that that there's some evidence that indicates it's not consistent gear work, and now you've applied that statement, and now you've gone right to this next statement where you say we shouldn't be considering this a deterministic universe. So again, you did it right here, and then you will cry foul that somehow I wasn't saying that we shouldn't realize that determinism is a fact of our large scale, on this scale of the universe, it's quite reliable. No. I mean, fuck you. This is just such a pile of shit.
Work like gears work, and model a reality is made of energy sloshing around.
Yeah, whatever. Again, yeah, just pretend it's all sloshing around and we don't understand the fact that it's all physics that are determining that sloshing. So just make it sound like, oh, it's just doing whatever it wants to. No, not a single drop of it's doing what it wants to. Not a single drop of it came from nowhere. No twister, no water spout, no tornado came out of nowhere. It didn't just mumbo jumbo all of a sudden to say, ooh, the sky said, well, I'll just make a tornado today. No, that didn't happen, Pyrrho. Okay, it was an inevitable consequence of circumstances of water that evaporated in fucking Taiwan 4 months ago is going to end up creating a tornado 4 months later. That's the reality. Cause and motherfucking effect.
It's not magic that energy passes through. They're not ghosts or anything. It's just the nature.
Well, again, that's just a silly thing to say. It's not magic, but it's completely spontaneous, and they can do either way. It could go this way, or it could go that way, or it could go that way, or it could go that way. But it's not magic, huh? It's not cause and effect. No, come on, you fucker.
Of wave-like functions, of things that are vibrations that are traveling around can get absorbed or they can travel through.
And they'll do that because of a circumstance, okay? And it can be an understood circumstance or a not understood circumstance, but the fact is the circumstance does exist, and it's only our ignorance, and against you're projecting our ignorance to mean that there's something mysterious happening, that there's something it's doing, okay, that isn't under the control of a mechanism. No, it's under the control of a mechanism, Pyrrho, and you're full of shit.
This is the world we're in. You want to call that mechanistic, that'd be fine, except for look at all the false conclusions you're drawing from assuming that everything is like a little gear. Right?
Yeah, well, whatever. I don't see all these. What? Give me examples of all these false conclusions. All right, what I see is people becoming more and more reliable. I see planes staying up in the air even longer. Computers run even longer without failing. Now, I see us understanding the variables more and more every fucking day and making things more and more reliable. That's what I see, Pyrrho. That's right. I guess the problem with the controlling of the circumstance isn't the fact that the circumstance can't be controlled because it's not a mechanism. I guess it's the fucking mechanics don't have enough information yet. And as they become more and more informed about how the fucking machine works, they become better and better at becoming mechanics. Jerk.